Go.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports, our first edition of 2021. I'm Todd Corder here in the ATL. JJ, my sidekick on the other side of the ATL, and Wayne, our producer in Memphis. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a great Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Had a wonderful Christmas. Great bowl season. Well, not kind of, but it was an enjoyable bowl season. A lot of games canceled, but it was enjoyable nonetheless. We got one left, Alabama versus Ohio State. Hey, I couldn't be happier. We got the dadgum season in.
As Bobby Bowden would say, you got the dadgum season in. The SEC went 6-2, 6 wins over top 25 teams. That is a record. The Sunbelt went 5-1. We'll bring Dave Cohen on to talk about that in approximately 20 minutes here on ATL Prime Sports. To get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us at, on Twitter at ATL Prime Sports. You can get a hold of me at Corder, C-O-R-D-E-R, Todd. You can get a hold of JJ at JJ Get You One. And you can get a hold of Wayne at RWY Jr. And as you can see all his musical things in the background, he's got a Memphis pennant to my right, his left. Yeah. JJ has his Atlanta bobbleheads and paraphernalia behind him, and me, I just have a wall and a TV. So, all right, guys, once again, you can get a hold of us. We're on every week, and we'll be glad to get back with you guys. Let's go ahead and go right to the show. We're going to talk about coaching carousel in the NFL and college football. Let's start off with the National Football League first. Guys, it's Black Monday. 3 coaches got fired today. Doug Marrone in Jacksonville. Yep. The gentleman out in San Diego.
Anthony Lynn.
Also, what's that?
Anthony Lynn. Yep.
Anthony Lynn, thank you for that. And our third coach was the New York Jets coach. Who could see that coming? And, you know, I mean, at 2-14, that was an absolute disaster. And what's the Jets coach there, JJ? You're chomping a bit to tell me.
Adam Gase may be familiar.
Adam Gase.
Days in Miami, went up to hopefully turn Sam Darnold into the franchise quarterback for the Jets, Jets, Jets. Didn't happen. Here we are, 2-14. They were facing a winless season a couple weeks ago. We talked about that. Gase got a couple wins at the end of the year. Actually had them playing pretty decent. A lot of people thought maybe that with those 2 wins, Sam Darnold saved his job, but we all know Adam Gase could not. So here we go.
Guys, yeah, you know, you talked about Adam Gase, and yeah, he's gone. Everybody could see it coming. Let's go to potential matches and replacements for each job that's opening. We'll include the Texans, the Lions, and our Atlanta Falcons. Let's go to the Falcons first, since we're talking, and you've got your Falcon shirt on and hat, JJ. Let's talk about the Falcons. Who's the best fit in your mind to come to Atlanta quickly?
Well, quickly, there's one that's off the radar for me. It's Byron Leftwich. Played quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons for a season. Started 2 games for us. I believe that was the Bobby Petrino years.
Yeah.
Good offensive mind down there in Tampa Bay. Got a lot out of Brady, and he likes to throw the ball deep. So I like Byron Leftwich as my out of left field candidate, but I really think the out of the park, knock him out. And people are going to call me crazy for this. I think it's Arthur Smith with the Tennessee Titans. And here's why. Here's why I think this is the perfect scenario. Matt Ryan has been hit some of the most in the NFL. He is an offensive line coach. They have a great run game. They keep Tannehill upright. Arthur Smith is my guy.
Yeah.
Who's your guy, Wayne?
Anybody but who they've got as the interim coach right now. And
you're done with Raheem Morris, in other words.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people in the big media are leaning on him to be the next coach and are giving him high scores and all that. But I really would prefer not to have him. He's not really shown me much. But I do like that idea of the Leftwich guy. That's
Byron
pretty cool.
Byron Leftwich is the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you saw what they did to the Falcons on Sunday with Tom Brady and company.
They did
4
touchdowns to a lot of people.
Yes, they did. They finished 11-5. Let's see. My leading candidate for the Falcons. I mean, there's so many of them. I honestly, if I could get the guy I want here, I got to go with Eric Bellamy of Kansas City. I mean, this guy is an offensive wizard. Bring him in, hire a great D coordinator, and let's go, because the NFL game is an offensive game. Let's go to the next one. Detroit. JJ, who's your guy in Detroit? We got to do it quickly.
Well, Detroit's a very, very fine line of Matthew Stafford and what you do with them. I really think they need a defensive-minded guy to build the defense. I think you can build around Stafford. I think the guy to do that is Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think there's another match there. I like Robert Saleh.
You, Wayne?
I hadn't even thought about it.
Well, mine is Robert Saleh. That's Saleh. Saleh is how you pronounce his name. He's from, it's okay, Saleh. He's from Dearborn, Michigan, and native of Detroit. Native of the state of Michigan. He fits. The Lions need a desperate defense. They need a defense desperately, however you want to say it. It's not a very good football team. They got holes everywhere on defense. And I like him to come in and be the head coach for the Lions. That's my fit. So we've done Detroit. We've done Atlanta. Let's do the Texans, JJ.
Well, here is a good fit for, I think, two coaches. Eric Bieniemy for the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. He works with Patrick Mahomes, a mobile quarterback. And arguably, people think Deshaun Watson might be one of those top 3-4 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Fits the mold. Eric Bieniemy there. My long shot there. I really think Joe Brady would be great with a mobile quarterback as well. I think watch out for Joe Brady. Maybe he jumps ship from Carolina and hops right on over to Deshaun Watson with the dual threat quarterback. Those are my two, but my favorite was the first.
Wayne, give me a name out there for the Texans.
Man, the only other one besides Atlanta that I've been thinking about is the Chargers. And so all these, Texans, I really hadn't thought about them much.
I'll give you a name for the Texans, and I think it's a perfect match. Jim Harbaugh. Guys, look what he did in San Francisco. Look what he did. Same type of quarterback here for the Texans with Deshaun Watson. Look what he did in San Francisco with Colin Kaepernick. I mean, guys, this to me is a match. They got a good defense, do the Texans. I can see Jim Harbaugh doing a bang-up job. Let's go. Wayne just mentioned it. Let's go out to Los Angeles and the Chargers. To me, this is the sweet job of all the openings besides Jacksonville. Yeah. So go ahead, JJ. Who's your guy?
You go out to Los Angeles, sweet city. You got a great quarterback out there. If Byron Leftwich doesn't settle in Atlanta, that would be a great fit too.
For who?
Quarterback.
Jim Harbaugh in San Diego? I'm sorry.
I said Leftwich.
Leftwich. Okay.
If Atlanta goes with my pick, Arthur Smith, who I think is number 1, my left field was Leftwich. I think this would be a knockout of the ballpark candidate for the Chargers. Leftwich likes to throw the ball deep. Herbert's got a great arm. They got Keenan Allen. They got a good set of receivers. They got Hunter Henry. They got Austin Eckler. They got some weapons. Byron Leftwich in a Los Angeles uniform looks really intriguing to me. I think that's the knockout of the ballpark hire right there.
What about you, Wayne?
Well, that's where I'm thinking would be a good fit for Harbaugh. Because if he's not going to be in Michigan, I don't think he's going to want to stick on this side of the country, and I think he enjoyed being on the West Coast, and it's a new facility, a great facility. That what is it, SoFi?
Yes,
Park
that new football stadium. Yes, sir.
I think he'd feel great there.
That's my pick also for the Chargers. He's from California. He was at Stanford. He was with the 49ers. He was at the University of San Diego. That will be my match to Jim Harbaugh. And we're going to talk about Jim Harbaugh later on in the show. All right, let's go to what we've done. Let's do the New York Jets, JJ. We got to move quickly.
This is Jim Harbaugh's job.
Oh,
If this is the one he wants, this is it. He's got the spirit. He's got the pizzazz. He's got the New York media. He can do whatever he wants up there. He knows how to control a program. That's the job for Jim Harbaugh if you want to take the NFL somewhere. The New York Jets. And he might even be able to teach Sam Darnold a thing or two.
All right, Wayne, who do you think for the Jets?
I hadn't thought about the Jets. I think it's because I've just been sticking with NFC teams. Is the Jets AFC, aren't they?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's why I hadn't even been thinking about it.
Nothing wrong with that. He's the NFC guy, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's enough to keep up with. I'll say that.
Well, you know what? Me, Marvin Lewis in New York, a defensive guy. This is a Jets need. Marvin Lewis can bring in a guy to run the offense. That's not a problem. They bring in a quarterback guy to help Sam Darnold along, but the Jets need discipline and defense, and Marvin Lewis is my guy in New York. I think he'd do an excellent job there. He took the Bengals to the playoffs many years in a row. All right, who do we have left? The Jaguars, JJ.
Jaguars.
Yep, who's yours, buddy?
This is my hit out the ballpark job. I think this is it. You have the opportunity of a lifetime to get what everybody thinks is a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people say Urban Meyer's the guy here.
I've heard that mentioned.
Marvin Lewis got Cincinnati to the playoffs, as TC mentioned, years in a row. Didn't get over the hump, didn't win any playoff games. But that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars need. They need some consistency at the top spot. I like Marvin Lewis there, but it does sound like Urban Meyer is getting a team together of unbelievable coaches, and that might come into fruition. I still don't think it will, but the rumors are out there. But I like Marvin Lewis in Jacksonville.
Wayne, who do you like?
Well, I had heard that mentioned with Urban Meyer, and once I heard his name mentioned and the fact that he was trying to put something together to present to the team, I felt like he was going to be the guy.
I think he is going to be the guy, and that is my guy in Jacksonville, without a doubt. With Trevor Lawrence coming on, Urban Meyer putting together a great coaching staff, I think he's rejuvenated and he wants to come back. He's already done it in college. The NFL will be the next challenge. Nick Saban tried it at 56. What age is Urban Meyer? He is 56. All right, guys, real quickly, let's go to the coaching carousel in college. We only have time for 2 jobs. Texas hired Steve Sarkisian, the offensive coordinator from Alabama, and they fired Tom Herman after they told Tom Herman he was going to stay. And then, of course, Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Is he going to stay? Let's talk about him, because Herman and Harbaugh, their records are really similar. And then Texas went ahead and fired him. And from what I read from John U. Bacon, who's been a guest on our show, this is only his guess. He thinks 80% Harbaugh is going to stay, 20% he'll go to the NFL. JJ, your thoughts?
He stays. He
stays, and why?
I think he's the Michigan guy. I think if there's a job for him, I think the New York job calls him just because of the media market. You can make the extra money. You can make the endorsement money. He's got the personality for New York media. I don't think he moves anywhere. I think he's a Michigan guy. I think he wants to stay there and correct the ship, get him in the winning direction. Harbaugh stays, man. I'm 99.
Jimmy, hey, JJ, what did you think about what Texas did to Herman? I mean, this was wrong in my opinion.
I roll my eyes because the man went 4-0 in bowl games.
Right.
And to me, that is hard to do. You beat Georgia in the process of doing it, a top 5 team at the time.
Yeah.
I was scratching my head. This is a move where, to me, it reminds me of the Philip Fulmer firing in Tennessee. How much better can you get when Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State are the cream of the crop in the Big 12 right now? I don't know, but
Wayne, what do you think? Let's talk about the Harbaugh position and then go right over to the Herman at Texas.
Well, I think if I keep calling him San Diego, if the Chargers offer Harbaugh a good enough deal, I think he'll go. But if not, he'll stay in Michigan. And as far as that Texas position goes,
I can't believe it.
It was as confusing to me as it was when they fired Malzahn at Auburn.
It's an interesting comparison. Gus Malzahn was very successful at Auburn, but Tom Herman, Texas hasn't won the Big 12. Yes, they were 4-0 in bowl games, but guys, this is a top 3 job in America. Texas pays top 3 money. They expect top 3 results, and they finally saw an opening with Steve Sarkisian, and he took it. And, the rumor was at Alabama that Sarkisian was going to succeed Nick Saban. Well, that didn't happen.
What I thought.
So I'll flip over to Michigan now. John Eubankins, who really knows the Michigan program inside and out. We've had him on our show, as I said. He says he stays. I believe he does, but it's going to be less. It's going to be probably a little bit less money. I heard it's a 6-year deal, but the school and him have a better opt-out. And I don't know. I think if the Chargers come calling, like Wayne said, going back to California, which is his second home, man, that's a job a lot of coaches are going to jump on.
Absolutely.
And does Harbaugh get out of Michigan? Because there were a lot of things that happened in Michigan this year that I bet don't set right with him. All right, guys, we got about 3 minutes before Dave Cohen comes on. We got enough time to talk about the targeting rule, which has been the forefront of many football discussions, and it's been real controversial. JJ, let's talk about the targeting rule. All of us think it needs to be changed in college football.
Well, and we brought this up because a very impactful player for the Clemson Tigers, 2 championship settings in a row. You had just this past weekend, and then the championship game against LSU, he was ejected for targeting Skalinski. And let me tell you what, I agree with the rule in general. I do. But the guy hit Justin Fields in the back, leading with his head. Fields turned. The rule to me needs to be this. 1, warning, 15 yards. Review it still. Just in case you find it no targeting, you take the penalty away still. Second one, you're gone. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of to make it better, because you just can't have these impactful players right out. And I think once you're out of the game, that's punishment enough. It doesn't need to carry over into the next week. And that's all I have to say about this.
Wayne, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that the rule and how they call it on the field, I think that should stay. But I think that the NCAA would do better if they would focus their attention on coaches and getting the coaches to enforce it in practice and get them to play the game different so that they're not compelled to put themselves in a position where it looks like targeting, and if the players are in practice and they got this in their head, then I think it's less likely it'll happen while it's on the field. And to me, it's a lot like in basketball with the flagrant 1 and flagrant 2 fouls. It's something that has to be called spur of the moment, and then you review it. But
that's an interesting comparison, Wayne. That is, and my thoughts are that the kids don't need to eject these kids out of the game. But it's interesting that you say it needs to be taught. It needs to be taught at the youngest level, all the way back to, peewee football. Yeah. So these kids know how to do it. so they're not caught in position. But the game is so fast. They're instant decisions. I think ejecting these kids you should get a warning before you should get ejected. Let's bring our guest on, Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers for football, basketball, and baseball. Dave, welcome to ATL Prime Sports. And while we're on this subject of targeting, what's your opinion on the targeting rules in college football?
Well, I understand why they've come up with these targeting rules. It's to protect your quarterback. A lot of money at every, well, I was going to say at every level, a lot of money is invested in what some consider to be the most important position on the field. So that's it in a nutshell. It's there to protect this quarterback for for each team. And when you talk about the National Football League and even collegiately, let's not kid ourselves. They're not paid, but there's big money involved in keeping your stars on the field in college football, especially at the highest level. So, it is what it is. But I'm not surprised. And if it keeps players from getting injured, then it's a good thing. But again, at the end of the day, it's about the finances of the sport at whatever level we're talking about, and keeping in some instances, your most important player from getting hurt needlessly and keeping that player on the field.
Well, that's why they have that box where you can hit that quarterback in. You can't hit him really low because you could hurt him in the knee. You can't hit him high because you can hurt him in the head. They have that box, that safety box is what I like to call it, where you can hit that quarterback without being penalized. And speaking of that, I know, Dave, you're not an NFL guy, but it just hit me. And, I don't know if you guys saw the roughing the passer penalty during the Vikings-Lions game on Sunday. That was absolutely the worst call I ever seen. He just tackled the Lions defender. I can't remember his name, but he tackled the Vikings quarterback, a former Michigan State product, Kirk Cousins. It was just a normal tackle. And the official blew the flag. And I know we're supposed to protect these players. But man, that is just they might as well put a mattress and let them fall on a mattress so they don't get hurt on the field. Did you see that, Dave, at all?
I think I saw a little bit of the highlight on Twitter. You got to realize, though, the game is played at an amazing speed. Yeah. There's a lot of adrenaline involved. These are some of the, these are the best football players on the planet. They're playing with a lot of adrenaline, a lot of focus. They all know what's on the line in many instances. And it's hard sometimes when you're so focused and driven to all of a sudden remember, this rule and that rule. You're just out there playing. I've never played, obviously, other than Nerf football in the backyard. But what I'm saying is, unless you're really thinking about the rule, when you're out there playing at the speed and with the focus and with the adrenaline, I mean, sometimes we see this week in and week out at really every level of football, you're going to have instances where there's going to be targeting penalties. Did you see, it was the one that was the late hit, Cincinnati and Georgia.
Where
the kid gets, shoves him while he's out of bounds. I understand that's not a quarterback. My point is that Cincinnati defender, I didn't talk to him, obviously, after the game, but I would have liked to have said, what was going through your mind when you did that? Why would you do something? You're on national television. Granted, there's not a lot of people in the stadium. Why would you do something that more than likely, if you step back and watched yourself do that, you might end up getting tossed from the game? And it turned out that, that guy's a key player on the defensive unit for Cincinnati. He ends up out of the football game. Who knows what happens if he stays in the game? My point is, again, you're playing fast, focused, adrenaline. You're not thinking about all those things. And he probably shoved the Georgia player, the quarterback, shoved him down without even thinking about it. It was just a normal reaction. But hindsight is 20/20. Referee blows the whistle. Now everybody's watching replays from 30 different camera views, and it's easy to be judge and jury sitting in your, not you guys personally, but it's easy to be judge and jury for those of us sitting in our easy chair watching on TV, not being in the moment that player was in the moment and what he did. And it's the same thing with targeting.
True, it's a very emotional game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and see, that goes back to the idea that the coaches need to focus on that in practice. And like you said, Todd, earlier in their career, let's say junior high school, to where when they're on the field playing the heat of the moment of a game, it's second nature not to do something like that.
Coach it out of them is what Wayne's saying.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, Happy New Year to you. Good to see you. Dave Cohen, voice of the Georgia State Panthers right here on ATL Prime Sports. Capped off the season with the Lending Tree Bowl victory.
Yep.
Panthers 6-4, first winning season in a couple years. Give us some highs, give us some lows, and what to expect for next year, Dave.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I was just happy to be there. I can't remember if the last time I was on with you guys. You know, I've been to a bowl games before as a radio reporter covering games. And with Georgia State, I've now been to 4 of them, 2 AutoNation Cure Bowls, the Arizona Bowl last year, and then this year the Lending Tree Bowl. So I'm in the car. My wife and I are in the car driving to Georgia State. Now, this is, you know, during the holiday break or right before the holiday break. And I get an email from a guy with the Lending Tree Bowl giving me the outline of what it will take to broadcast the game on radio. And I'm assuming the Western Kentucky Radio Network got one as well. So I open the email and I'm reading it, and it says the rights fee set by the Lending Tree Bowl is $5,000. And I'm like, $5,000 to do one radio broadcast? I've been to 2 Cure Bowls and I've been to the Arizona Bowl, and I don't think we paid more than $500, you know, each time we went. I understand that they do levy a charge for the use of the Ethernet, or if your radio network uses ISDN, if you use a phone line, or whatever it is you use, there's always a cost, you know, associated with going to those. I mean, they nickel and dime you for just about everything. But so I said, that's got to be a mistake. I said, it's got to be 500, not 5,000. So I didn't think anything of it. When I get down to the office, I sent the guy an email. And I said, hey, Dave Cohen from the Georgia State Radio Network, thanks for your email. Looking forward to going to the Mobile for the Lending Tree Bowl. Was that by chance a typo? Should that have been 500 and not 5,000? I didn't hear back. And then he calls me a little while later and says, no, it's $5,000. So I forwarded to the powers that be at Georgia State. And the whole time I'm thinking, listen, we're in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. Money is tight. Budgets are tight. Georgia State Athletics, which will not be making any money on this bowl game, is not spending $5,000 so that I can go to the Lending Tree Bowl to do a radio broadcast. And so, you know, I wasn't happy about it. Anyway, long story short, we came to a negotiation due to the assistance of some folks within athletics at Georgia State. We got it to a price that Georgia State Athletics was comfortable with, and we ended up going and doing the bowl game. Now, the difference is the team, and in my interview with Coach Elliott for the pregame show, because there were not a lot of bowl festivities, as per usual when you go to a bowl game, Georgia State treated this basically as a road game. They left Friday night. They went down to Mobile. The game was Saturday afternoon. They came back Sunday. As a cost-saving effort, the radio crew, we drove down. We left Center Park Credit Union Stadium Saturday morning at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and we drove the 5 hours to Mobile. We set up. We did the game at 3:30. We broke down the equipment. We drove back from Mobile to Atlanta same night. So I think my head hit the pillow about 2 a.m. Now, some folks would complain about that. Why don't I get to stay over? No, not at all. I was just happy that Georgia State Athletics was willing to negotiate, get it to a fair price, and allow the radio crew to travel to Mobile and do that game in person. Because, as you guys know, during the regular season, we didn't travel. We did those games remotely, like Georgia Tech, like the Falcons are doing. We did that from a studio that we set up at the stadium.
Wow,
Anyway.
and here I did what, 13, 14 high school football games this year, and it was normal, other than everybody's wearing a mask in the booth. So, yes.
But anyway, the experience was great. You know, the radio crew, we have a great time together. The 5 hours felt like 3 each way, so it wasn't that bad. And, you know, it's even better when you get in the van and it's all said and done and you've beaten Western Kentucky and played the way we played. Cornelius Brown, I thought played fantastic. It's such a, I think back to the last time I saw him play prior to this year, and it was for a few moments, in a game in 2019. And again, he didn't play in the Arizona Bowl because he had already appeared in 4 games. And if he had played in that bowl, it would have burned his redshirt year. He was able to take a redshirt. So he was a redshirt freshman.
Well, he had a fantastic season. You saw his progression, Dave, and you got to really be happy. I guess I would say offensively, this club was really good. Defensively, it's a work in progress, but there was a winning streak, and hopefully that'll carry over next season. Hopefully they'll get better defensively and make a run at the Sunbelt crown.
Well, that's really the next step. Georgia State won 4 of their final 5 games, counting the bowl game. And the one loss was 17-13 on the mountain at Boone to Appalachian State.
Right.
Clearly the best game we've played against Appalachian State. And if the offense could have scored another touchdown or 2, we win that football game. But you're right. It was a 6-win season. Thank goodness we even got to play 10 games. Let's not be, I'm not being greedy by any means. There are some guys I know that, haven't really played any, been able to do broadcast for any college football games this year.
I would be one of them.
Right. So I'm totally blessed that we were able to get 10 games in this year and play a season, go to a bowl game, win a bowl game. But as you look back, listen, an overtime loss at home to Louisiana Lafayette, that could have been a win. We did get blown out by Coastal Carolina. It was what it was. But that game and the game in Jonesboro, Arkansas, as we've talked about, when you score 52, you expect to win the football game. So if you give me Louisiana, if the pendulum swings in favor of us beating Louisiana Lafayette, us scoring 52 and not giving up 59, and us being somehow able to score some points in Boone, this could have been an 8 or a 9-win Georgia State season. But it wasn't, and you're right. And the great thing is, I say great thing because there's some decisions to be made. But a number of the seniors, I'm told, not all of them, they have the option to come back for their COVID year.
Yeah.
So Georgia State defensively could be even better next year if some of these seniors decide to take that basically what we'll call a free year and stay in school an extra year and enjoy another season of college football. We could be set up. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Georgia State took in a transfer quarterback from Furman. And this is the kid that tore us up in game 2 last year when we came back to Atlanta to play Furman after beating Tennessee in Knoxville in week 1.
Yeah.
How about that?
So now you've got this kid that his name is Devin. I'm trying to remember his last name. Now you've got that kid coming in. He can play right away, I think.
Yeah.
You got Cornelius Brown. You have Michele Colasurdo, the Gatorade South Carolina Player of the Year at quarterback, the one that was a true freshman this year. Now we've got a little bit of a log jam at quarterback because the kid from Furman's not transferring in to not play. Colasurdo's going to be a sophomore. He can see the writing on the wall. Cornelius Brown's a redshirt freshman. You can only
Dave, real quick, we got about 2 minutes left. Let's shift over. You talked about all the great stuff going on at Georgia State, but I've got to ask you about the conference. It went, was it 4-1 or 5-1 in bowl play? I believe it was 4-1, the Sunbelt. Not only did Georgia State have a great inning, the Sunbelt Conference had a great inning, and the only team that lost, ironically, was Coastal Carolina in that game, in that magical contest against Liberty. The Sunbelt is having a fantastic future. This is the last question we got. We got to ask you. We got about a minute and a half left. Your thoughts on all that, and then we'll talk about basketball next week.
All right, real quick. Did you guys see the video of the Louisiana Tech coach talking about Louisiana Lafayette wishing?
No, I did not.
They were big time enough to play in Conference USA. Did you see that video?
No, I did not. I wish I would have now.
So Louisiana Tech running their mouth. You saw what Georgia Southern did to Louisiana Tech in the Louisiana Bowl. Yeah. Ran them out of the dome.
Right.
Dave.
Conference USA went 0-6 in bowl play.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on your point, I think Georgia Southern had the largest bowl victory margin-wise of the season. So another hats off on the Sunbelt Conference.
Yeah. And, talking about, I do want to touch on a little bit of basketball. What do you think your chances are going down there for the doubleheader at Troy this coming weekend?
They're good.
Well, the interesting thing about basketball is that myself and our sports information director, Mike Holmes, did not travel to Coastal Carolina, much to my dismay. But, again, who am I to argue? We had a couple of players that tested positive. So they were very cautious on this road trip. I'm not sure if you saw our women's team had to basically shut down. They had a couple of three positive tests, and then because of contact tracing, they did not play last weekend. So, I'm watching that first game, and we get beat 81-69, and I'm thinking, here we go. Coastal Carolina's pretty good on the hardwood as well under Cliff Ellis over there. Then we bounce back and we play better on Saturday. We come out of there with a 1-1 record. Now you got to go to Troy.
Yeah.
Troy has always been a thorn in our side, no matter how good we've been when we go over to play in that arena. So to answer your question, I don't know, because I'm not sure if – and one of the guys that tested positive was our starting center, Eliel Saseme, who averages double digits points and rebounds.
Right from Congo.
Right. If he does not, he's the transfer from Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, but he's from Congo originally, correct?
Yes. Yep. But if he does not travel, and I have not heard one way or the other, well, now that changes the scenario a little bit.
Yeah.
JoJo Toppin, the transfer from Georgia, did not play at Coastal Carolina either.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Dave, we're out of time. We'll get into more basketball next week when we have you back on, because I looked at the schedule. You're basketball free next Monday. I kind of cheated. You've got games this coming, Friday and Saturday. Then you have the following Friday and Saturday where I'm doing public address announcing for Shorter. I've got games this weekend. Hopefully I'm going to do some play-by-play for them by the end of the season, and also some spring football. So I'm hoping to get some college football in. But with this COVID-19 environment we're in, who knows? Dave, thanks for coming on as always. We really appreciate it. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, same to you guys. Good show to start out 2021, and we'll look forward to talking to y'all next week.
All right.
I can't wait to talk some basketball. I know Wayne wants to really dive into it more. And I promise you, Wayne, we're going to talk basketball time with Dave next week. Thanks for coming on, Dave.
All right, you guys take it easy. Thank you.
You too. All right. Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, with the Panther Report here on ATL Prime Sports. Each and every week, the voice of the Panthers. And guys, let's shift gears from the Sunbelt to the SEC, to Georgia's win over Cincinnati. Wasn't it? I mean, I guess it was sort of impressive, but it wasn't sort of impressive. But a win is a win. And JJ, what are your thoughts?
Well, as I mentioned going into the game, this was a lose-lose for Georgia, really. If you win the game, you're expected to do so. If you lose the game, all hell breaks loose. So I think personally, if you're a dog fan, you're happy. We want the Georgia, the kicker, Jake Podlinski,
what a
hits
stud.
a 53-yarder. So you're confident, hey, we went from hot rod to hot pod.
Yeah.
We have JT Daniels coming back under the saddle next year, unless he shockingly decides to go pro, which he technically could do.
He better not.
But I don't think he will, but you never know nowadays. But you gotta be happy as a dog fan. Now, here's the pro take on it. You're down 11 in the fourth quarter to a team that you had no business losing to. You come back and you get the job done. So honestly, I think it's just a good emotional win for Georgia, and a big win, and cap off a hard-fought year. And the cherry on top is these seniors go out as the first, tied with I can't remember which other class, but they're tied for most wins in Georgia history in 4 years.
Well, JJ, you're right. It was a great way to end the season for Georgia. And if they lost to Cincinnati, yes, the critics would be out there. You lost to a group of 5 school, blah, 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 blah. But I'll tell you what, Cincinnati is a darn good football team.
Yeah.
And you know what? They proved to me that they could have played in the playoff and they would have got beat.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
And
But at least they proved that they were worthy. They hung with a top flight SEC team, top 3 or 4 in the conference, however you want to say it. But what baffled me, Cincinnati could have and should have won this football game had they ran the football on 3rd down. 25, 30 more seconds would have been off the clock. Georgia wouldn't have had a chance for that fantastic field goal at the end to win it. And Cincinnati would have won this football game most likely had they ran the ball because Georgia only would have had time for a Hail Mary. They wouldn't have made a 60-something yard field goal unless Cincinnati fell asleep on the defensive end. But give Georgia credit. They took advantage of the Cincinnati coaching miscue.
Yep.
And they won the ball game. Wayne, your thoughts real quick.
Well, I think it all came down to coaching. I think Kirby Smart just outcoached, the guy from Cincinnati.
Luke Fickell.
Yeah, and Cincinnati did prove that they belonged at that level, but it goes to prove your big point, Todd. Strength of schedule is an important thing because the teams that Cincinnati faced all year were not near the caliber of teams that Georgia faced all year, and it proved it out in the end.
Well, it sure did, guys. And JJ, go ahead. We got about 30 seconds with this subject.
my final thought on this is, again, Cincinnati proved they could hang with the big boys. College Football Playoff Committee, expand the playoffs. Let these guys get in. I'm tired of seeing first-round blowouts. Guys, Cincinnati can hang with the big dogs. They did. Georgia came out and got a victory. And you're right, bad coaching. But, hey.
Well, I know it's bad coaching. It's just it was bad clock management. They should have ran the ball on 3rd down, but they didn't. But Cincinnati acquitted itself very well, JJ.
And I'll give you 2 seconds real quick. Remember in the Super Bowl, 28-3, Julio Jones makes an unbelievable catch. Everybody criticized now 49ers head coach. Said, hey, I tried to win the game. We were moving the ball, throwing it. I tried to win the game. Same with Fickell. He thought he could move the ball and get the.
He thought he could get a first down to win it.
Yeah.
So, hey,
right, and I see that side of it. I do, but everybody can play armchair quarterback afterwards. And what a job Luke Fickell did for Cincinnati.
Yeah, for the whole conference too.
I mean, yes, that conference did very well. Where the ACC went over for Gopher to join Conference USA. All right, guys, we're out of time with this subject. The Falcons finished the season at 4-12. The new front office is focusing on the off season. They need a GM first. They need a coach. We already talked about the coaching spot, the GM spot. Who knows who they're going to bring in? Ozzie Newsome's a name. We'll see. But to me, I'm going to go first with this when it comes to the Falcons. They need to focus on defense. They need to focus on the defensive line, then the offensive line. They need to get multiple edge rushers, and they need to trade down. JJ, your thoughts, and if anything different from me, please say it.
I really like the opinion of trading down. You get in these fan talks. Folks, the Falcons aren't drafting a quarterback in the first round. Okay? Maybe later in the rounds, maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. But they're not drafting a quarterback in the first 2 days of this draft in the first 3rd rounds. So what you do, I like your analyst, TC. Trade back, get as many picks as you possibly can. Get a GM that's on the same page as your head coach. And bring in talent on both the offensive and the defensive lines. I agree with you 110%. But to me, I wouldn't go after so much defensive backs. I'd go offensive line, defensive line first. I'd flip-flop it. I think you got to protect Matt Ryan. That's why I said Arthur Smith as the head coach. Protect Matt Ryan. I think you can still win some football games. 0-7 in one possession games. You change that around, they're a playoff team.
Well, there's no question about it. And they need a running back. I mean, Hill's a nice player, but he's not a 1, he's a 2. And I tell you what, if Najee Harris is there in the second round, you got to grab him. But I think it's edge rushers. I think it's multiple edge rushers, especially if you can't get Najee Harris. You've got to, if you could trade back and get two edge rushers in the first round, get a stud running back, draft an offensive lineman in the third round, and then you can always pick up a receiver later in the draft. And here's my last point before we go to you, Wayne. Matt Schaub retired today.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, people are like, okay, now we can draft a quarterback. Well, you can, but you got Matt Ryan, and they owe him $1 gazillion for the next 2 years. So you're going to draft a quarterback as your a rookie as your backup? No. You're going to have to go get a veteran.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get Andy Dalton from Dallas. He'll be available. And maybe you can draft a quarterback in the 6th or 7th round. But this is a team, everybody says they're in cap hell. They are. But you can fix this club, and they can make the playoffs next season. How about you, Wayne?
Well, if they're going to wait till later rounds, I guarantee you that Brady White will be available. The quarterback from Memphis.
Where are they projecting him to go, Wayne?
They hadn't predicted anything yet, but he was a redshirt senior, so I don't think he's going to be coming back. He's a decent enough quarterback. He's got good range, throwing motion, and he's able to play a fast-paced game.
In these late round draft picks, you look at Tom Brady, they're there. So you just have to have the president, GM, head coach all on the same page. You've got to do your homework, and you can knock it out of the park in the draft, because that's what the Falcons are going to have to do. We mentioned the cap space. A lot of people think that's why some of these GMs are going to stay away from the job. I think a GM, just a little final thought on the Falcons 4-12 season, maybe the new GM, Rich Smith, used to work with, I believe, Rich McKay on the competitive committee. So we'll see about that. But inside, closer to the ball, draft, build around the ball. Well,
that's how you build a football team, gentlemen. It's exactly how you build it. You build it cheap, and you build it young. A late-round quarterback comes to my mind would be Ian Book of Notre Dame. Now, maybe he makes the Falcons. Maybe you put him on the practice squad. He sits and learns. That's a player to me that got considerably better at Notre Dame, and he's only lost 4 games in college. He lost 2 of them to Clemson. He lost 1 to Notre Dame. Nobody's beaten Clemson and Notre Dame on a regular basis. So, and he lost 1 to, I can't believe I'm going to say this, he lost 1 to Michigan. So, anyhow, that's his losses in college. That's it. This kid won as many games. He's most wins in Notre Dame history. Of course, they play more games today. But Ian Book is a good football player. He's got mobility. He's learning. And, in that semifinal game against Alabama, he doesn't have the talent at wideout that Alabama has. Goodness golly, that was the difference in the game. Notre Dame their offensive line was good. They're good at running back. They just didn't have any speed on the wideouts, and they had to play a lot of 3 tight ends sets so they could make Alabama honest to make them either run or pass. So I like Ian Book as a late-round pick for Atlanta. JJ, I'm sorry. Go ahead. We got about a minute.
I was going to piggyback off your point. I like Ian Book. He's smart. He's at Notre Dame, as you mentioned. Very tough academic school. And it's Brian Kelly. He runs a top-notch program. And I like it. You mentioned the tight ends. They're not very well out wide at the wide receiver position. They
need speed.
A couple of years ago. But an effective quarterback, the most effective Matt Ryan was when we had Tony Gonzalez and he used the tight end repeatedly. That's a good
Hey, Hayden Hurst did a great job.
Right, Hurst is very functional.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne. I mean, I know you love Hayden Hurst. You love him as a blocker and you love him as a receiver, don't you?
Yeah. What else are you saying, JJ?
I was just saying, Ian Book, I like the way he uses the tight ends, and I think that translates late draft pick. And I like it. I like it, TC. If
But, and to the quarterback position for Atlanta, Matt Ryan's got a lot left in the tank. He does. He'll be 35, 36, whatever. The guy can still play. Quarterbacks are playing longer today thanks to the rules, thanks to them getting in such fantastic shape, thanks to them getting the football out early so they don't take these hits. I mean, the Falcons team can be fixed. Everybody says it's a mess cap-wise. You know what? It is a mess cap-wise, but you can get around the cap. The Dallas Cowboys do it every year. The Patriots do it every year. All these teams are in contention. The Chiefs, they just paid Patrick Mahomes a gazillion dollars. They're going to get around the cap. This Falcons team can turn it around next year, and all this gloom and doom from these fans, I'll tell you what, you want to see a doom and gloom team, that's Detroit. Their defense is an absolute mess. And believe me, even though they won more games this year than the Falcons, they're further away than Atlanta. Because Atlanta's point differential was 1 going into the last game, so they ended up negative 14. The Lions had the second best point differential in the league behind you-know-who, Jacksonville, and the Jets. All right, guys, let's go to our last subject here. Then we'll stick with the National Football League. They did an amazing job. 256 regular season games. Now comes the playoffs. They navigated COVID. You're damn right they're going to navigate the playoffs. They're playing football. They're going to get it in. The hell with COVID. And all right, guys, give me your favorites in each conference. JJ, go first. We got to hurry up.
I'm going to shoot this one out the park. Packers, Bills. That's your Super Bowl.
Wow. Packers, Bills. Okay, why not Kansas City?
I think the Bills can slow down Kansas City. They can score with the best of them. Josh Allen can go blow for
stud.
Mahomes. And we've seen it this year. He's an MVP candidate. He leads the league in touchdown passes. He can drop his arm, throw sideways. He can run out of the pocket. He can extend plays. And he got smart under center. He's calling out audibles. He's protecting himself in the pass game. I like the Bills. Their running game's pretty good too. Singletary, Moss, they can single out there. And here's the key. I haven't even mentioned him yet. Stephon Diggs has found himself a home. I like the Bills in the AFC.
Hey, I understand. We'll find out. Wayne, how about you? What do you got?
New Orleans and Buffalo.
New Orleans and Buffalo. JJ said why about the Bills. You tell me why about the Saints.
Because I just they've got so much more experience in postseason play and
like
coach, quarterback, and their whole team. It's like they gear up for that every year and expect to go. So I think
it's been Heartbreak City, Wayne. Go ahead and talk about that for the Saints. It's been Heartbreak City now for the Saints for several years in the playoffs. So is your train of thought? They're going to take all this experience, because you use the word experience, where the experience is going to get them over the hump. All these losses are going to make them the better. Is that what you think?
It worked for Denver.
Hey, that's true. It did work for Denver. It never worked for the Bills when Jim Kelly was quarterback. They got the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. All right, my pick. I tell you what, golly. You know what? I wouldn't have said Green Bay had they not beat the Bears yesterday. Now, we don't have fans in the stands, but to go up there and play in the elements in Green Bay, the Packers, to me, have got to be the favorites, especially if a dome team like the Saints comes up there. But the Saints have they have a great running game. If they can keep Drew Brees healthy. The Packers did lose their the guy that blocks Aaron Rodgers' blind side. He's out for the season. So they've had to shuffle a little bit on the offensive line. But, this Green Bay team, and I'll tell you who you can't count out. You can't count out Seattle with that nasty defense they got and Russell at quarterback. And you know who you can't count him out? That would be Tom Brady. Guys, you cannot count him out. Tampa Bay's getting better. They're getting better, but they're not getting that better. I think they lose in the second round because they got, I believe, the way it's going. I don't know how they shuffle it, but they'll probably lose to Green Bay. They did beat Green Bay early in their season. Tom Brady does know how to play in the cold weather, but I think it's the Packers in the NFC. And the AFC, I'll do that real quick. I've got Kansas City. The Chiefs have been there. They've done that. They got Patrick Mahomes, who won't be the MVP. Aaron Rodgers will. I've got, and guys, you guys are counting out one team. You're counting out the Berg. You're counting out the Berg. You know, the one they won their last Super Bowl. They lied in the weeds towards the end of the season, and they came in there and they won it. They're not going to win it, but they're going to do some damage in the playoffs. And the Ravens also are really hot running the football, but I don't trust Jackson throwing it in the tournament. All right, we're all done with that. So we all got our picks. We got about 5-7 minutes left in the show. Let's go to the pick. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got something to say?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So you're picking Green Bay and Kansas City in the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
I'm going to send a copy of this show to NBC Sports because because you are playing right into the corporate. These are the best two teams, and they're going to the Super Bowl.
Okay. You know what? I'll give you a sleeper. I'll give you a sleeper. A sleeper is Tampa Bay in the Berg, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That'll be my sleeper. But I'm going by the two best teams right now and the two best quarterbacks in the NFL. But it wouldn't shock me if Tampa Bay slipped in there. And it wouldn't shock me if New Orleans slipped in there. It wouldn't shock me if Pittsburgh or Buffalo slipped in there. All right, we're out of time, but I like how you accuse me of the corporate stuff. I like that. So I really do. Happy New Year to you, by the way. All right, pick six. We only have one college game to go. Let's pick it. Alabama and Ohio State. Alabama's a 7.5-point favorite. I've got Alabama, guys. Najee Harris, Mac Jones, Devontae Smith. Just too much for Ohio State. I got them winning by 10. You, JJ?
This is one of the hardest I've ever thought about picking a game because Sermon is unbelievable.
Yeah, his congregation will be in the end zone if he scores.
The guy's a patient runner. Justin Fields threw for 6 touchdown passes against Clemson. Nobody said 6 games. This, that, took it all on his chin and said, hey, bada bing, bada boom, I'm going to go out there and beat Trevor Lawrence. I think Bama's going to win this game. I do. I think it'll be about 9 points.
So you got him covering.
I just have this weird feeling, a pit in my stomach, and I told you off air, I didn't want to say it on air or anything. I just had this, but I'm going to pick Bama. I think they get revenge from 2014 when everybody thought Bama was going to win this one. Then Cardell Jones came in. I think Bama gets the job done. I think there's too much talent there. But if Sermon gets going, could be a long day. But I'm going Bama. I'm sticking with Bama.
You know what? If Sermon finds his congregation in the Alabama end zone, it could be a long day. It could be.
That scares me. But I'm going Bama. I'm taking them to cover. I say Bama by 8.5, 9 points as my
Okay, so you got them to cover like me. But how ironic that we have Alabama out of the SEC. The conference that wanted to play football the most, that got the Big 12 and the ACC. Here comes along the AAC and the Sunbelt and Conference USA, and we end up playing football versus the conference who didn't want to play, and a team Ohio State did want to play, and the conference that did not want to play, and they got the Pac-12 to follow them and the Mountain West and all the other crap out west, and they didn't want to play, and yet they have their team in the championship game only playing 7 games, and they could be 8-0 and win the national title. How ironic is that? Wayne, who's your pick and why?
Well, I am half my family is for Alabama, and the other half is Auburn fan, so I have to go with Alabama, but
you don't have to go with them.
Well, I'm going to for domestic tranquility. But I'm going to pick Alabama, but I don't think they're going to cover. So if I'm going to put a bet on it, I'm going to bet for Ohio State, but only because I don't think Alabama's going to cover. I think it'd be a close game. Probably
So
3,
taking
4
Ohio State in
points.
the points. I like
Right.
You know what, Wayne? One key we have not mentioned yet. How is Justin Fields' ribs? Are those ribs going to hold up? They have got to be sore right now, Wayne.
Yeah, well, I think they were sore about 12 hours after that game, but all of the conditioning and all of the sports doctors that these teams have, he's probably fine.
Well, they're going to shoot him up and put him in a nice big flak jacket, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So we'll see who wins the game. It's next Monday night. It'll be exciting, and we'll actually talk about this game a little bit more on Friday,
right,
when we go on Blog Talk Radio at 1 o'clock live Eastern Standard Time. Myself, JJ, and Wayne will join our friend Mark Mancini from Los Angeles, and we'll talk about this game a little bit more. All right, let's go to the wild cards. Let's go to Saturday. We got about 5 minutes left in the show, guys. We're going to have to do 6 games in 5 minutes. Colts and Bills. Bills by 6.5. JJ, quickly.
I got Bills in the Super Bowl. Got Bills winning this game. Got Bills covering. I think Phillip Rivers, this may be his last game in NFL uniform. Bills by 7.
I don't think it is, but we'll talk about it another time. Go ahead, Wayne.
I've got Buffalo by 10.
All right. Well, I have Buffalo winning, and I have them winning by more than 6.5. That baby's outdoors. The Colts is a dome team.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. All right, Rams at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 4.5. JJ, who do you got?
Got the Hawks. You're up in the Pacific Northwest. Rams, they've been playing in that nice, brilliant new stadium in LA. I like Seahawks. I think Russell Wilson's way too much, and Pete Carroll's got that experience. Give me the Hawks.
Wayne, who do you got?
I'm taking the Rams because I absolutely do not like the Seahawks.
Okay, well, that's some vendetta. I like it. So you got the Rams to win it.
Right.
And we got a little.
Well, I don't bet with my heart. I bet with my head. I'm going with Seattle to cover. Let's see how healthy Jared Goff is coming into this game. He didn't play against the Cardinals, so we'll see. All right, let's go our next one. These games are all on Saturday. Tampa Bay, 11-5 at Washington. I still like to call them the Redskins. Sorry, everybody. It is the Washington football team. Washington made it at 7-9. The Bucs are an 8-point favorite. JJ.
I have Washington in the points. The Bucs win the game, though. But I'm taking Washington. I think Chase Young gets after Tampa Brady. I really do think the Washington Redskins have a home field advantage. I like Chase Young to cover the points, but again, Buccaneers will prevail.
I'm going to drug test you after the show. Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the Buccaneers. I think this is Tom Brady's going to be in charge of this class, and he will take Washington to school.
Yes, I wish I had a bell right now because I would ring it. We're going to dismiss Washington in a huge manner. I have a double-digit win. There's no way. Yeah, the Redskins may get to Tom Brady on occasion, but his offensive line is good enough, and he's smart enough to get rid of it in a hurry. I got the Bucs big. On Sunday, the Ravens at Titans, and to me, this is the toughest game to pick. The Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite. Who do you have, JJ?
Going with the Titans. I'm not going to bet against Derrick Henry in the playoffs ever again.
Yeah.
What about you, Wayne? We got about 2.5 minutes.
I'm taking the Titans simply based on how they played their last game.
I got the Titans to win too, and no way am I betting against Derrick Henry. And I don't trust Baltimore's quarterback in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Throwing the football, I don't trust them, but they are playing hot football right now, so that's why they're the hot bet. A lot of folks think that they'll be like the Titans did last year, but I don't trust Jackson throwing the football when the game's on the line. So I'll take the Titans too, and they're at home. The Bears 8-8 at the 12-4 Saints. Saints are 9.5-point favorite. JJ.
You guys are going to hate me, and you guys are going to think
Man.
We're going to drug test them again. Go ahead.
Saints are going to win, but that Bears defense gets after them. Trubisky's playing pretty good football right now. A lot of people are thinking, hey, you know what? They may sign this guy after not giving him a fifth-year option. I like the Bears to cover, Saints to win.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Wayne.
I'm kind of in the same boat, but I'm going to put it this way: I'm going to say Saints win, but don't cover, just because I don't want to really mention the other team.
So it's same.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. I've got the Saints covering it. I got them running out of the gym like the Packers did. The Saints are going to be they'll be the speed on that carpet will benefit New Orleans greatly. They do have to have Alvin Kamara come back at running back, though, and he's supposed to play. So I've got the Saints, and they covered home. All right, the last game on Sunday Night Football. Cleveland rocks. The Browns are in the playoffs for the first time since the Lord. But no, honestly, it's been since what? It's been 20 years almost for Cleveland. They're 11-5. At Pittsburgh, 12-4. I know the Browns won this week. JJ, the Steelers are a 4-point favorite. Who you got?
I'm taking the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm going to tell you what I think. The Browns go to the AFC Championship game. I do.
Get the needle, Wayne. Ready? Get the needle, Wayne. Get the needle.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You may need 2 needles because of my in honor of one of my favorite guitar players, Tommy Bukovic, otherwise known as Uncle Larry. I'm picking Cleveland to win this game.
Now, is Tommy a Browns fan?
He's from Cleveland, but he lives in Nashville now.
Is he a Titans fan?
No, he's a Cleveland fan, but he pulls for the local team. But he grew up in Cleveland, moved to Nashville because he's a session guitar player, and that's where he's at now. But he always pulls for those Cleveland teams.
I'll tell you what, guys, there is no way in hell's bells am I picking Cleveland. No chance. My wife's a Steelers fan. My mother-in-law's a Steelers fan. My wife's entire family are Steeler fans. The Steelers at home, they barely beat them without Big Ben. Cleveland did. They're going to bring Big Ben back, and they're going to cover the spread. Because if I pick Cleveland, I'm out of the family. Let's just face it. I'm done. It'll be a nice 30-year tenure, but I'm gone. No, I'm picking the Steelers, and I've got them going to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, so, you're doing the domestic tranquility thing.
That's exactly right. All right, guys, it's really been fun today. I've had a great time. It was great seeing you guys. I'm glad you had a good Christmas and a Happy New Year. And Wayne and I did the Christmas show when I was up in Pennsylvania. I did the video standing there in a Philadelphia Eagles hat. That was interesting with all the Steeler fans that I was with. For the Merry Christmas look, I had the red hoodie and the green Eagles hat. So fly Eagles fly. They flew all right. Speaking of flying, before we go, we got about a minute. Why not? Let's just say it before we go. The deal in the fourth quarter, I can't believe they put Nate Sudfeld in the game, did the Eagles head coach Doug Peterson. The Giants went nuts. My friend Carl Banks didn't like it, who does, color for the Giants because we're from the same hometown. Everybody went nuts. Eli Manning said, I can't stand the Eagles. But you know what? It's the Eagles football team. It's Doug Peterson's football team. They had it planned all along. They were going to put Nate Sudfeld in the fourth quarter. They did. The Eagles lost. And Jalen Hurts did struggle. There's no doubt about it in that game. Your thoughts, JJ? I don't think it's a big deal. I think the Eagles still played to win, but it's their right. If the Giants are complaining, win more than 6 games.
I'm baffled. I do not see that as coaching to win, as Doug Peterson said. I don't see that as that. I see that as tanking. That to me is just – that's why Doug Peterson shouldn't be there. If he didn't win a Super Bowl –
He won a Super Bowl.
If he doesn't win that Super Bowl, he's not there. That's crazy.
Well, he did, and now he is.
He's in a bad position. If you're going to go forward with Jalen Hurts, do it. If you're going to go forward with Carson Wentz because you paid him a boatload of money, do it. Why are you playing Sudfeld? That's ridiculous. That's tanking.
He's
That's
been there
tanking.
a long time. You got to know what he's got anyways. I mean, he was 20 for 25 coming into the game. You knew where he was going.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he's won a Super Bowl. But to me, that's just a shaking your head moment, man. I don't see any other coach doing that.
Wayne, your thoughts. We got about a minute.
Yeah, I'm not interested in Philadelphia at all, except for a TV show that's based around a bar called Patty's Pub, and that's it. That's the only thing that I'm interested in Philadelphia.
Well, I tell you what, I went to a few pubs in Philly and downtown Philadelphia, and one was in Chinatown. It was very interesting there.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well, so for the pub, for myself, for Wayne in Memphis, for JJ on the other side of the ATL, guys, we'll be live Friday again at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio with Mark Mancini in Los Angeles. Please listen in the show. The Blog Talk Radio phone number is, I forgot what the number is off the top of my head. I will look it up before we go. Yes, that number is 1-347-205-9631. You can listen in, or you can go to www.blogtalkradio.com. You can listen to us live. 1-347-205-9631 from 1 to 1:30 Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Guys,
all right.
Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed it. Take care.
All right. See you later.
Folks, and get you one.
All right.
Get you one. All right. Good night, everybody.